वन्दे मातरम् सुजलां सुफलां मलयज शीतलां सस्यश्यामलां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी पुल्लकुसुमित द्रुमदल शोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुर भाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरम् वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्.
How are you? I think all are fine. Is it right? Okay. In the last class, we learned about plasma membrane. In the last class, we learned about plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is also called as cell membrane and also called as semi-permeable membrane. Is it right? These are all things we learned in the previous class. Now, in this class, we learned about cell wall. What is that? Cell wall. Cell wall. Actually, there is a major difference between plant cell and animal cell. What is that? That is cell wall. What is that? Cell wall. The plant cell having cell wall, whereas in the animal cell, the cell wall is absent. In the plant cell, there is a cell wall. The cell wall is absent in the animal cell. This is the major difference between plant cell and animal cell. So, the outer covering of the animal cell, plasma membrane. But even though the plasma membrane is also in the plant cell, but above the plasma membrane or cell membrane, there is an extra layer that is called cell wall. For example, this is a plant cell. What is this? This is a plant cell. See, this is called plasma membrane. This is called cell membrane. But this is called cell wall. What is this? Cell wall. But the cell wall we can't see in the animal cell. We can't see in the animal cell. Okay, right. Actually, the cell wall is made up with a carbohydrate is called cellulose. What is that? Cellulose. The cell wall is actually plasma membrane is made up with lipids and proteins, as well as here the cell wall is also made up with cellulose. What is that? Cellulose. It is a carbohydrate. It is a carbohydrate. Do you know how we will get paper? Immediately you are saying from the paper mill. Is it right? Don't say like that. Actually, so much of pulp they are using for making paper. So much of pulp, guj. That pulp which is secreted, they are getting from the plants. So in the pulp, what is the main component? Do you know? In the pulp, what is the main component? Do you know? Cellulose. Because of that cellulose only we are getting paper. Because of that cellulose only we are getting paper. Okay, right. Next. Actually, the cell wall, it's very tough and flexible. It means అది ఎరగదు, ఎటుగడుతో ఉంగుతుంది. Conic, flex, stiff, it is tough. It is flexible. Bend outundi, but it's not break. That is very useful to the plant. That is very useful. That nature is very useful to the plant. Cell wall is very tough and flexible. What is the use of another use of this cell wall? It will give shape to the cell. It will give shape to the cell. Not only shape, and also it will give protection. It will give protection from the outer atmosphere. From the outer atmosphere. Unwanted substances are not allowed to enter into the cell. Even though there is a plasma membrane or cell membrane, but in the plant cell there is an additional protector that is called cell wall. Cell wall. So the cell wall will give protection to the plant cell. Okay, now next. Actually, in the previous days, the scientists have believed that there is no use with the cell wall in plant cell. But later they understood when the new cells are produced by the process of cell division, the new cells are when it is generated, during that time, the information passes from one cell to another cell with the help of cell wall. Cell side by side, there are some cells are there. A group of cells is called tissue. So, in the tissue, the information, how it is passing from one cell to another cell? With the help of this cell wall. That thing is found out by the scientists later. But before, they thought that there is no use with this. There is no use with this cell wall. So, this is about cell wall. Okay? What are the uses of cell wall? So, here's the difference. Tough and flexible, shape, protection, and exchanges information. This is about cell wall. The cell wall is absent in the animal cell. And also, inside the cell, there is a fluid-like structure. This is called cell sap. Kanarasamu, Telugu what we call Kanarasamu. Actually, this cell sap always creates pressure. The cell sap wants to go out. So that's the reason always the cell sap creates pressure inside the cell. From the pressure, the cell protected by this cell wall. Protected by this cell wall. For example, if the plant drinks more water, the plant cells is not burst. The plant cells is not burst. Why? Because there is a tough and flexible layer surrounded with a cell wall. The cell wall is protected from this cell pressure. Means cell sap pressure. We will learn about the important cell organ that is called nucleus. What is that? Nucleus. Nucleus is one of the most important cell organ. Before that, I want to ask you one question. Have you heard about nucleus? Yes. Already we learned about nucleus in our 8th class. Is it right? We saw nucleus in a practical manner. What is a practical? Onion peel cell. Is it right? When we observe onion peel cell, inside the cell there is a dot-like structure. That is called nucleus. Is it right? Yes. So here we will learn about nucleus in detailed manner. So we will see. Robert Brown, who is that? the scientist named Robert Brown, who discovered the nucleus in the year of 1831. He is the first person to discover the nucleus in the cells in the year of 1831. 1831. Yes. Actually, this is a nucleus. The nucleus we have to see inside the cell. Inside the cell. Inside the cell, there is a nucleus. Inside the cell, there is a nucleus. Actually, inside the cell, so many organelles are there. So many organelles are there. What are they? What are they? Ribosomes, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi operators, vacuole. Is it right? So many cell organelles, for example, ribosomes, lysosomes, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, so vacuole. So many cell organelles are there inside the cytoplasm of the cell. Inside the cytoplasm of the cell. Do you know one thing? It is very clear, rest of all the other cell organelles, because it is big in size. It is big in size. But among all the cell organelles, nucleus plays an important role. Nucleus plays an important role. In our words, what we have to say, he is the leader for all the cell organelles. He is the leader for all the cell organelles. Why? Because it controls all the functions of the other cell organelles. The nucleus controls all the other cell organelle functions. So that's the reason this nucleus is also called as cells control room. Cells control room. Okay, it's control. It's control. The other organelles are controlled by this nucleus. He is the leader of all the other cell organelles. Okay, Sheldon, what is it? He introduced the cell theory. In the cell theory, what they mentioned, the new cells are coming from the nucleus. So that process is known as cytoblast. What is that? Cytoblast. What is cytoblast? If the new cells are coming from the nucleus, that is called cytoblast. Next, actually, all the eukaryotic cells, actually, the living organisms are two types. What are they? Prokaryotics and eukaryotics. Prokaryotics, they are not having nucleus in their cells, in their body cells. So such kind of living organisms are called prokaryotic organisms. Such kind of cells are called as prokaryotics. But one who is having nucleus in their body, means in their cells. Such kind of cells are called as eukaryotic cells. Such kind of living organisms are called eukaryotics. So, eukaryotics are having nucleus. Eukaryotics having nucleus. But all the eukaryotics are having nucleus, but some of the animals, they does not have nucleus in their cells. In their cells. Best example, some of the RBCs. Camel, llama. In the red blood cells, they may not have nucleus in their body, in their cells, in their body cells. Okay, and also some of the plants also, they are not having nucleus in their body, means in their cells. Best example, phloem. In the phloem, there is a CV tube cells. In the CV tube cells, nucleus is absent. It means, even though all the eukaryotics are having, most of the eukaryotics are having nucleus in their cells, but some of the cells, some of the animals or some of the plants in their cells, it means some of the eukaryotic cell or animals, they may not having nucleus in their cells. Okay, right. Actually, if you see the structure of this nucleus, it is circle in shape or it is oval in shape, circle. It is round. It is covered by two membranes. See, one and two membranes. They are called nuclear envelopes. What do we call? Nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. So, inside the nucleus, there is a dot-like structure. This is called nucleolus. What do we call? Nucleolus. That is called nucleolus. Okay, right? Okay. Actually, if you observe this nuclear membrane, there are some holes on the nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. They are called nucleopores or nucleopores. Inside the nucleus, there is a fluid-like structure. Inside the nucleus also there is a fluid-like structure. That is called nucleoplasm. What is that? Nucleoplasm. So, actually, if it is inside the cell, that is called cytoplasm. If it is in the nucleus, the liquid material, that is called nucleoplasm. What is that? Nucleoplasm. In the nucleoplasm, a thread-like structure diffuses around the nucleoplasm. Inside the nucleoplasm, a thread-like structure diffuses throughout the nucleoplasm. Do you know what is that? What is this? This is called genetic material. What is that? Genetic material. Right. What is the use of this genetic material? In the genetic material, there are some chromosomes. In the chromosomes, some of the genes. In the genes, there is a genetic material name is called DNA. What is that? DNA. Because of this DNA only, the characteristics, లక్షణాలు, మన తల్లిదండ్రుల యొక్క లక్షణాలు పిల్లలకి, వాళ్ళ పిల్లల నుంచి వాళ్ళ పిల్లలకి, వాళ్ళ పిల్లల నుంచి వాళ్ళ పిల్లలకి లక్షణాలు, క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్. The characteristics are passed on from one generation to another generation. How it is possible? For example, if I am asking one question, who you are, you look like? Immediately you are saying, my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle. You are saying like that. Is it right? How we are getting such kind of characters, man? How we are getting such kind of characters? From our poor parents. మన తాత ముత్తాతల దగ్గర నుంచి లక్షణాలు నాన్నగారి దగ్గరికి, నాన్నగారి దగ్గర నుంచి లక్షణాలు నీలోకి, నీలో నుంచి లక్షణాలు నీ పిల్లల్లోకి, వాళ్ళ పిల్లల్లో నుంచి లక్షణాలు వాళ్ళ పిల్లల్లోకి. హౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసింగ్ from one generation to another generation? Because of this DNA. The DNA is having characteristics of such kind of that living organism. So the characteristics are passed on from one generation to another generation. So such kind of material is having this nucleus. So that's the reason. Nucleus is one of the most important cell organelle rest of other cell organelles. Is it right? This is called chromatin. In the chromatin, there is a genes. In the genes, there is a DNA material. That material only passes the information from one generation to another generation. Okay, now, this is about nucleus. Now, Cytoplasm. What is that? Cytoplasm. A fluid present in the cell is called cytoplasm. What is that? A fluid present in the cell is called cytoplasm. So, in the cytoplasm only, all the cell organelles are present. It means the cell organelles are present in the cytoplasm of the cell. Is it right? Ribosomes, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, nucleus. So, these all are cell organelles. These all the cell organelles are present in inside the cytoplasm. Inside the cytoplasm. So actually, each cell organelle is having specific function. Each cell organelle is having specific function. So, these all the cell organelles are present in the cytoplasm of the cell. It floats. Each cell organelle is having specific function. Each cell organelle is covered by a membrane. Each cell organelle is covered by a membrane. It encloses with a membrane. It encloses with membrane. Even nucleus also. Already we saw nuclear membrane. Is it right? Likewise, these are remaining cell organelles also, it's enclosed with the membrane. Okay. But in prokaryotic cells, the around the nucleus, the nuclear membrane absent. The nuclear membrane absent in some of the prokaryotic cells. Actually, some of the prokaryotic cells are not having nucleus, but some of them they are having nucleus. Even though they are having nucleus, but around the nucleus, for example, this is nucleus. This around the nucleus, the nuclear membrane was absent in some of the prokaryotic. What is prokaryotic? What is eukaryotic? Prokaryotic means one who is not having nucleus in their body. They are called prokaryotic cells. Okay now, one who is not having nucleus in their body cells, such kind of living organisms are called as prokaryotics. But some of the living organisms, even though they are called as prokaryotics, but they are not, even though they are having nucleus, but around the nucleus they are not having nuclear membrane. Such kind of living organisms is also called as prokaryotics. Okay now? But for example, cyanobacteria. So for example, this is a cyanobacteria. This is cyanobacteria. Bacteria, inside the bacteria there is a cytoplasm. But inside the cytoplasm there is a nucleus. But here, this cyanobacteria, even though bacteria is having nucleus, but the nuclear membrane is absent. But where it is located, the genetic matter, freely it is moving in the cytoplasm. This is a nucleus, but there is no nuclear membrane. But the genetic material, it is in the cytoplasm. It is in the cytoplasm. But generally, this is cell, this is a nucleus, around the nucleus there is a nuclear membrane. So, this kind of living organisms are called eukaryotic cells. Means, one who is having nucleus in their body cells, such kind of living organisms are called as eukaryotic cells. Means, the cells are having nucleus, around the nucleus there is a membrane also. So, this kind of cells are called as eukaryotics. But if nucleus is absent or around the nucleus there is no nuclear membrane, such kind of cells or such kind of living organisms are called as prokaryotic cells or prokaryotic living organisms. Okay? Okay, now, protoplasm versus cytoplasm. What is protoplasm? What is cytoplasm? Protoplasm means in Telugu we have to say Jiva Padartham. Jiva Padartham. The scientists, in the previous days, the scientists thought that because of this protoplasm only, the living organisms are alive. They thought like that. They thought like that only. What they are saying? Because of this protoplasm only, the cell alive, all the functions will go in a smooth way in the body of the living organism because of this protoplasm. They thought that. They thought that. So that's the reason for this fluid-like material inside the cell, they called as protoplasm. They called as protoplasm. But later, according to their investigations, according to the scientist investigation, they come to know inside the fluid material which is present in the cell, there are some other structures also is there. Some other structures also is there. They called as cell organelles. They called as cell organelles. In the word itself, when we heard that word, immediately we come to know about the cell organelle. It means the cell organization takes place by this cell organelles. Is it right? By this cell organelles. Cell organelles means ribosomes, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole. These all are cell organelles. These all the cell organelles are present in the fluid-like material which is present in the cell. So that's the reason when they find out the cell organelles which is present in the protoplasm, now this protoplasm name changed as cytoplasm. Why? Because protoplasm means ఇది జీవించడానికి అవసరమైన పదార్థం కాదు. జీవించడానికి అవసరమైన పనులు చేసేటువంటి కణాంగాలు కలిగినటువంటి పదార్థం మాత్రమే. But all the works will do by the cell organelles. Which is present in the protoplasm. So that's the reason this protoplasm name changed as a cytoplasm. This protoplasm name changed as cytoplasm. Cytoplasm means kana padartha. Okay, now in the beginning they are called as cytoplasm, called as protoplasm. Later, this protoplasm called as cytoplasm. Inside the cell, all works will do by this cell organelles. Then only cell go in a smooth way. All the body functions will go in a smooth way. The cells or the body cells or the body go in a smooth way. Then only we all are alive. Not for protoplasm. Because of this cell organelles which is present in the protoplasm. So that's the reason. Protoplasm name changed as cytoplasm. Okay. Next.
Today we are going to observe nucleus in onion peel cells. For doing this experiment, we require some materials such as glass slide, cover slip, onion, forceps, blotting paper, methylene blue, glycerin, watch glass, needle, and microscope. First, we have to take an onion peel from onion. Then break it into two and try to separate them. We noticed that a thin translucent membrane holding the pieces together. Take out a small piece of membrane with the help of forceps. Place it on a clean glass slide and spread it evenly. Then add a drop of water to it. Put a drop of methylene blue and leave it for 5 to 10 minutes. Carefully wipe off the extra stain with the help of blotting paper. Then put a drop of glycerin on it. Next, cover it with a cover slip without any air bubbles. Let us observe the nucleus in onion peel cells under the microscope. Observe carefully. There are dark colored oval-shaped spot-like structures are present in the center of the each cell. These are known